welcome everybody.
Hi, hi.
Welcome back. Welcome for our first
Yes.
time.
Yep. We're glad to have you. Even on vacation too.
These
I'm
guys,
seeing some familiar names.
they live for this stuff.
They can actually breathe. Take a
Yeah,
minute and sigh for a second.
that's all right.
As you're coming in, if you will, I'm going to launch a poll. If you would do us the favor of just filling that out for us, we're trying to make sure that I am trying, Matt's trying to make sure that we are meeting you where you are and where you're getting your information. And we want to make sure that it is we're doing the work where you would want the work to be done and not wasting our time in places that maybe you wouldn't find your information. So, and the best source is you. So if you will fill out that poll for me, I would greatly appreciate it. I've launched it. I see some of you filling it out already. Y'all are good students.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for taking a minute to do that. And yeah, I mean, look at this is what we think about, talk about every single day. How do we best support you? What avenues, right? There's not necessarily a one size fits all. Try to our goal is if we do a good job, we can maybe make your jobs, 5% lighter, easier, 10% maybe, to, take some things off
Yes.
of all the plates you seem to be consistently spinning. Maybe
I always picture a circus with poles, and you've got spinning plates and trying to keep them spinning without falling off. So I'm always so impressed with all the things. And
yeah,
you keep doing it with a smile, which is even better.
that's right. Okay, cool. So a decent amount to cover today. We probably won't need the full hours as we usually don't, but we got it blocked, so we will stay as long as you need us. For those of you that are new, I'm Matt Carpenter. This is Anne Marie Sanderson. I'm one of the founders at College Aid Pro, excuse me. And I always consider really after parents and students that are navigating this college financial aid scholarship process, I consider school counselors to be our biggest stakeholders, right? And for those of you that tune in often, you hear me say that we're the tip of the spear, collectively trying to navigate this really challenging, overwhelming, expensive process that is going to college today, right? And it gets a little bit more overwhelming, challenging, and in the short term, probably more expensive with our current administration and all this stuff. So we're here trying to solve that the best way we know how. This is Anne Marie Sanderson. Anne Marie, if you want to say hi, she's our manager of high school partnerships. A lot of you know her well already, but if you want to say hi, Anne Marie, we'll kind of get into the content.
Sure. Hey everyone, I'm just so glad you're joining us. I know some of you will watch this as a recording, and but those that are joining us live, thank you for taking some of your time out of the summer. And those of you that are working all year round, I'm sure you are grateful for air conditioning just as much as Matt and I are. We're actually on two ends of the East Coast, so and both dealing with that 100-degree weather. So, but thank you for being here.
Yeah. So just kind of quick table of contents, right? I'll give a quick update on what's going on with the Department of Higher Ed. Do my best to get out the crystal ball a little bit and try to synthesize what's real versus what's not. Obviously, that's fluid every single day here, and plenty of unknowns remain. Then I'll talk about how we're preparing to deal with whatever changes might come, good, bad, or indifferent. I want to give you a quick tour for those of you that are Power School Naviance users. We have officially completed that integration, so I'll give you a quick deal with what that looks like, and then I want to tease kind of like testing a little bit, and hopefully that's a conversation because I'll have some questions of my own for you guys in ACT versus SAT, when to send, when not to send, how involved do you guys get in those conversations, recommendations, etc., with your families? Do you feel like it'd be valuable to have more resources? My main question is like, should we have a expert in on within that sweet spot, or do you feel like that's whatever, not a good use of time? So, um, Yeah, so that's kind of the layout here. Now, in terms of the latest and greatest, so officially we've kind of had the first major hurdle cleared in terms of what this new administration presented, and now we are, it's officially in the hands of Congress. But to me, here's what I consider to be, and none of this will take effect until basically almost exactly a year from now. So July 1st, 2026, if this stuff gets pushed all the way across the finish line, right, or at least some of it, it will impact not this upcoming college year for the class of 2025, 24, 23, 22, but the following year. That said, even though some of these changes might not necessarily be live, we're going to see some shifts within higher education as colleges prepare for these, changes that are going to come on the horizon. So, federal direct student loan, it has been proposed that there is no subsidized portion of that loan. So that is the loan that every student that completes the FAFSA is entitled to. $5,500 freshman year, $6,500 sophomore year, $7,500 junior and senior year. We're entitled to that loans again so long as we complete the FAFSA. A meaningful percentage of that could be subsidized historically and still is this year, meaning no interest accrues during college or years after. This was a program that is largely for students with a lower SAI, right? Those with less income, less resources are more likely to qualify for that subsidized portion, get to borrow at a cheaper rate, essentially. That's going away. I have a feeling that one is going to pass. I'm not that does it bums me out, but that shouldn't be earth shattering. I don't think in the same way that another change here, work study is either going to be reduced or go away completely. Again, I see that in the negative column, but not one that's overly concerning for me. If these are a couple wins for as far as the administration's concerned that gets across the finish line, I don't think the negative impacts from that are going to be too detrimental. Okay, some of the bigger ones. We're going to be capping plus loans. We are going to be making it harder to qualify for. There's going to be less flexible repayment terms. So this is going to impact parents that are borrowing to send their kids to school, and especially those that don't have very robust credit scores, that don't have strong applications, that maybe can't get qualify for any loans in the private sector, or if they do qualify, they're really prohibitive interest rates. So, in short, this is going to make um, colleges more expensive for these types of families, right? Because we have to tack on the price of borrowing to the overall cost here, right? That's a meaningful cost of doing business here. What's the upshot? What's the potential silver lining here? Um, it could bring the prices of college down. That is a domino that could fall here, because those of us that kind of have studied this higher education space, lived in this space for a long, long time, most of us would agree that there's a whole bunch of variables, but if there's one variable that is most responsible for skyrocketing education costs in the United States, it's the plus loan. It's the federal government telling each of these colleges, charge whatever you want because we're going to give a blank check to everybody that gets in, right? This is a difficult scenario because some people are going to be negatively impacted by this. Maybe this was their only option in terms of sending their kids to school. But then other people, this is in the longer term, maybe going to help them because it's going to say, hey, we can't give you a blank check to borrow. You have to find colleges that are more within your budget. And again, that the having more savvy consumers, shoppers, even if that's just because guardrails were kind of put around them, is going to force colleges to stop, increasing, with such outrageous prices. Um, no grad plus loans, right? So those going to grad school, these are either going to be reduced or eliminated, right? Again, this is talked about less, but our debt for grad school programs is a massive contributor to kind of our overall debt. And same deal here. It's not always a wise investment for all students and families to get this next grad degree. Um, and this one, I don't have a silver lining for this one. This is a bummer, but just reduced Pell, harder to qualify for Pell. No Pell if you're going to school part-time, right? I literally got emotional talking about this a couple of weeks ago, so I will not go there again. But I don't have a silver lining for that one. I think it sucks, and I
Yep.
vehemently disagree with it, and I don't have much color to add aside from that. But that's what the reality is. Should it pass? Okay. A couple things and resources I want to share. Can you share with me the oh, never mind. I think I got it here. Anne Marie, I was gonna first quickly or if you could just share the link for the our borrowing toolkit here, and I'll pull it up and walk through it quick because I think this should be a great resource for you all to share with your parents. We got a really talented marketing team that does this stuff behind the scenes for us, and hopefully this can be a good resource because I think when I talk with school counselors, I think one of the hardest jobs, and that's a bold statement that you all have within it. But I think it's difficult when families come in your office and say, "Should I take Sally Mae? Should I take a plus loan? Should I use home equities?" And it's like you got to have some more intel. Number one, maybe just be a subject matter in the expert in this space to be able to speak and make firm recommendations. But even though I consider myself a subject matter in this space, if a family comes to me and says, "Which loan should I take?" I need to get a lot more information before I can point them in the right recommendation. So we're trying to help them get there on their own. Like most of what we try to do, we try to really spoon feed families steps. I feel confident you follow these steps, you're going to find, collectively here what the best loan option is for your family, right? We always want to recommend we start with a federal direct student loan for all the reasons that we talk about all the time. Um, when it comes to the private market, if you have a decent credit score, you're going to borrow for a lot less than you are through the federal government. But you want to shop here. These are the couple of the folks that we like for a number of reasons that we talk about, okay, within the private student loan space. And then we have like an entire just rate table here. Here's everybody, within the private student sector. But the point is, you want to shop, you want to check out a couple, see what you qualify for, and then look at state programs, right? These are the three states that anybody can borrow through, regardless if you're a state resident or your kid goes to school in that state. So not every state has a borrowing program. It's usually about, and it changes from year to year. That's why I say usually, but usually from about 18 to 20 states will. But for the vast majority of states, you got to be a state resident or your kid has to go to school in that state to take advantage. These are the three exceptions. So we want to make sure that parents understand that, I could be a Florida resident and my kid could go to school to Santa Clara in California, and I can borrow through Iowa. And for some people, that will be your best option. Right? So we just want to let them know it is an option. And then, of course, lastly, for some folks, the plus loan might be their only option, but they want to understand the pros and cons of that versus all of our others. And then this is just some more information on each of these lenders. And then I have just kind of like a 1 minute video for folks that are quick hitters here. Like these are the three basic steps. Start with a federal direct student loan, figure out your family's criteria. And what we mean by this is, is it important that the loan has a cosigner release program because you got to send two younger siblings to college, so you need to get off your older one as soon as possible. Does the length of the loan repayment matter, right? Are you most concerned about monthly cash flow? So maybe even though you could get a little bit better of an interest rate here, it's a 25-year repayment plan here, you're willing to pay more for that. So these are the levers that folks can pull, but we want them to come to their own conclusion of what's most important for us as far as those variables are concerned, because by process of elimination, it's going to point us towards our best options, right? And last one is you got to shop around, right? Don't be that family that, well, I'm taking Sally Mae because they email me 3 times a day ever since my kid turned 9 years old. And so it's burned into my brain. Or I'm going to take the plus loan because that was in the financial aid award letter when I got accepted into UC Davis. So I guess I'll just take that, right? We got to do our homework. We got to shop. Okay. And then Peggy, right, our director of uh, education. She has line by line instructions through loan entrance counseling, through the master promissory note. These are the two steps that the students need to complete in order for that loan to change hands from the Department of Education to whichever college they're attending, right? So this can get a little confusing. She does a great job again, spoon feeding families to take care of this. And then we have our kind of full hour long webinar that Peggy and myself do around all the things paying the bill. So hopefully this is a good resource that you all can share where you think it's appropriate. We've got a ton of great feedback for it, so you may uh, consider that. Okay, so another just before I jump to the next thing here because actually let me cut myself off again because and now I'm going to share this after. But what's the name of the conference, Anne Marie, that Degs and Peg are at in JP today?
Oh,
See if I can find it. The National Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators,
there you go.
NASFA conference out in Anaheim, out in Southern California. So three of our team members are there over these next couple of days to just be kind of boots on the ground and just actually talk to folks in higher education and all these financial aid offices at all these different colleges across the country just to make sure again we are completely up to speed with what the conversations that they are having internally and the theme here and I think the expected fallout from these administration changes that again at least in the short term these colleges for most of us are probably going to get more expensive because if and when these federal government kind of pullbacks go through the colleges are not going to automatically make up for it right now you have some that will you have your the colleges that are historically most generous that meet 100% of need and have these really robust um that have these really robust endowments like Harvard's still going to give meet 100% of need and they'll make up for whatever the federal government doesn't and so will Stanford and so will MIT. That's great, but it's pretty stinking hard to get into Harvard and Stanford and MIT and those colleges that are on a really short list, right? When we think about it. So for those of us that are not gifted enough, speaking for myself, not you, Anne Marie, to get accepted into these types of colleges, um, we got another challenge, right? Because this money that's not coming from the federal government is not going to automatically be substituted on an institutional level. And that seems to be the basic theme. Again, I think we're going to be a lot smarter even by the end of today, because I know, again, Peg and Dag specifically have like their calendars are full today with all these different colleges that they're meeting. But that's what we're up against, right? And I feel like I've been saying this every year. I probably have. Like our jobs got a little bit harder, right? Right. These changes got a little bit harder. So I will shamelessly plug ourselves a little bit here, but it's also I do it genuinely because I don't have a better solution for how to combat it. Because this is our platform, right? And most of you that pay attention to us even a little bit know that we released a new version of our platform. I think it's much more robust. I think it's much more user friendly. I think it looks a little bit sexier. And we did all of that and literally spent a few years and ungodly amounts of money and resources and time, but we went down significantly in price, which we're pretty proud of, and are taking a I don't know, business risk. It's not just we tried to be altruistic, but and I think that we generally are, but it is a real risk. So we'll see how that plays out. But anyways, if for all the bells and whistles of our platform, it's $5 a month. Um, there's a free version available for everybody. If you cannot afford $5 a month, or you are a free and reduced lunch Student, you get all the bells and whistles for free. So I know a lot of you, we partner with your schools directly. Please book a time. I know Anne Marie already put her link in the chat. If you don't, to learn how we can support you. Most schools that we partner with, they don't well, they don't pay anything to work with us. We just provide all the free resources that we have. Some decide to buy the platform and get some more hand holding for their community, but for most folks, we're just a resource and extension kind of your office specifically when it comes to this. So this is a new home dashboard, right? Families will have their SAIs staring them in the face. All of our upcoming events will be on here, all of our most recent blogs and whatever's brand new in our space here, our weekly private scholarship list, etc. And the idea is, we have bi-weekly office hours every other Monday at 7 Eastern time for families to ask their live Q&A with experts. Every other Thursday, we have our workshops that are talking more inside baseball, specific subject matter, what should divorced and separated families do, what do undocumented students do, what schools consider home equity fair game, right? Every private scholarship in the country is in our database here, and we got a great community where they can chat with experts and have that be moderated anytime during business hours. Any college we want to look at, right? We can put it in here. So I will look at everybody's favorite household name, Stonehill College, right? So we can find out, okay, well, here's the sticker price at Stonehill. This is what I'm actually going to pay. And if I want to learn more about any school, I think we got some pretty, again, robust resources here, right? Yeah, here's what I'm going to pay all 4 years. Here's what I get for financial aid versus their sticker price. Here's how generous or not they are with need-based aid versus merit. Every scholarship for every college in the country, we have every scholarship that they offer. We're really good at projecting, how much are you going to get? Where does this fit in terms of my family's affordability scale? Where does it fit in terms of our budget? What is this outcome likely going to look like, right? And we can search schools just based on who will give us the most financial aid, who will give us the most scholarships. When it's time for financial aid, we just tell them, you just tell us where you're applying. We'll tell you due dates, forms required, line by line instructions for each, right? FAFSA and CSS profile. And then once accepted, you upload your awards. We translate the awards. We tell you, did you get a good deal? How likely is it that you can appeal for more? How much more can you appeal for? And then finally, when it comes time to pay the bill, and borrow, all of those are in here as well. So our goal is to have a solution for every kind of major pain point in the process. But to me, again, and this is just what we do internally, is we got to say, we don't know what the hell the Department of Education is going to do. And so much of that stuff is that all of that stuff, for the most part, is out of our control. We can only control what we can control. And so that's why we always tell our audience, whatever they do out there, even if they make it more challenging for us, that's okay. We still have an affordable path to college. It starts by finding out your SAI. Are you going to be eligible for financial aid? How much? Let's go build a list of colleges that are great fits for you, but are still going to be affordable regardless of what might happen that we can't control with the Department of Education. And we're going to have a good end result, right? It's not, a lot of these changes are unsettling. It's not all doom and gloom, right? We can still go have a great experience and don't have to put ourselves back. Uh, don't have to set ourselves back financially for the rest of our lives and the rest of our parent lives. Okay, I got kicked out of Power School here, but I'm going to log right back in. So just bear with me for a hot second, team. And I'll give you a quick demo. Now, to be clear, we are live with Power School integration and Naviance. We are in kind of, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this publicly. I know I am with Score, but we are not live there yet, but should be just a matter of time here. Reload this page. Yes.
Matt, may I interrupt for just 2 seconds and remind if we have a few people that haven't filled out the poll, if you would, while he's sort of getting that up, we would really appreciate you filling out just the 4 questions that I put in the poll down here on the page. That would be awesome. Thank you to those that have already done it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, appreciate you taking the 2 minutes to help us out there. So, look at some of the feedback we've gotten from you all for for forever for good reason is like, look at, I love what you guys are doing. That's a great tool. The last thing that I can ask my parents to do is have another login, another username and password, another whatever. And like, we get it, right? That we heard you loud and clear. Totally get that point of friction. So we're working towards, integrating with, with, we have Power School, check that box, right? Scores next. And we will be there with Zello and Maya Learning and School Links. Again, it's just a when, um, as opposed to if. But I want to give you just kind of a quick visual, and we already have a kind of a wait list because we want to pilot this with a kind of a select number of schools to make sure that it's working the way that you want it to work in your school, that you're getting adoption. So please ping Anne Marie. If you're a power school, Navient school, and you want to do this, it doesn't cost your district anything or you guys anything. You just need to go get whoever is the power that be in your district or at your school to sign off here. So I know for a lot of you, it's the chief technology officer in your school or the superintendent. It might be the school committee, it might be the principal. But your kind of homework is okay, and we can help you with this. We're happy to. Who needs to sign off? And and again, this is all through Power School and everything. So it's just a formality to add on College Aid Pro within it here. So it's not a big lift at all. And once you get that sign off, we can be up within the hour. In your school. So this is what it looks like, right? So this is kind of our sample family here, and you guys already know this kind of experience for those of you that are on Power School, and you'll see once you get sign off, we'll just show up here, right? College Aid Pro will just be an icon. And from a starting standpoint, what they can do is they can look up any college they want, okay, and we'll just show them scholarships, and then we can give, for example, or do you want to just look at a popular school near you? I just picked Marquette. I think the student's based in Ohio. And instantaneously now, because obviously we already have the GPA test scores, et cetera, pulled in through Power School here, so nobody needs to do anything outside of what I just did, and you're going to see, okay, here's how much you're going to get in merit-based scholarships at Marquette, right? And then in addition, here's every single scholarship that is offered at Marquette. And again, more importantly, here's what we're projecting you're going to get. And if you want to jump out and get any specifics with the timeline or with these actual scholarships, these are all live links in here. Okay. And then again, if you want to put in let's put in Loyola, Chicago, show me the scholarships. And then you can do this as the counselor or the parent or the student can all do this themselves, right? You all have kind of access here. And again, so I put in Loyola Chicago. Here's what the student is projected to get. Here's every scholarship that Loyola offers. Again, we can jump out to any of them if we want to see specifics, but we have the high level stuff, over here. And if you want our full cap experience, right, then again, the parent or the student could go to just jump out to that right through this link here. Now, this is where if they go to set up a parent account as the parent, that's fine. They can do that. They jump right out. If the student wants to go in there, then they need parent permission because there's going to map any of the stuff over. Again, we've worked out the legalities and data security and all that with Power School, so that homework's all done. But that's just kind of how it works. Where if you're going to map stuff over that gets into more of the family's financial stuff, then they'll invite their parents. Okay, so this is again, this is the aesthetic. This is where it will show up. Please contact us if you're a Power School user. Again, this should be a light to no lift for you, and I think hopefully just be more robust for students, for parents, and ideally, and most importantly, for you all. So we're pretty stoked about this, right? Again, just freaking smart developers, man. These things that they can do just blow my mind. We just say like, make it do this, and lo and behold, it does.
Like magic.
That's right. Honest to God, it really is. So anyways, please, we're gonna love you up extra if this is something that you even want to explore, because we just want to make sure that as we roll this out in more and more schools and districts, we kind of start with our pilot program, and learn from it and get better from there, and have you guys beat it up for us and with us and all that.
I
If
have gotten to play around with it. As a parent, I have used Power School with my now college kids and have a high schooler, and I am blown away at the technology that we can pull in through that Power School. I think it's going to make it's a great tool for these students and counselor or and parents to be able to really connect that conversation with you as the counselor. It's all going to be right there and hopefully allow them to see some things on their own. So I really am excited about this.
Yeah, no, no, we're psyched, right? It should be a great opportunity. Again, we're always thinking of how do we get insert kind of our expertise into you all's schools and districts without it being a big lift for you all, right? So that's always front of mind, and hopefully this is a step in that direction.
I've put my email in the chat so that if you want to be part of that pilot program, just email me there and I'll get you on the list so that when we do start launching that, we can start we can reach out to you.
Beautiful. And we want to do that this summer, right? We're ready to go here. So perfect world by the time you guys are back in August or September. We're live, and again, like I said, it's really ready to go on our end. Okay, so this is more of a, I don't know, I'll share some of my own thoughts. Not that I'm the expert by any stretch here, but I just wanted to kind of tease and see what the appetite was for having, maybe dedicating one of these coffee talks, just to just to test scores, right? ACT versus SAT versus no test scores, to send or not to send. Like, for example, I had kind of always thought, and this shows my greenness in this area, but I had always thought it's like, you either send your test scores or you don't send your test scores, right? Whereas for 90% of families, that's not the case. You should be sending them to these schools, but then not to these schools, right? And it's very school specific. And obviously the implications of that and some of these decisions that are especially, kind of a toss up, what is best practice, right? So I've tried to educate myself and just tap experts that have a lot more knowledge than I do to learn more, and I have learned more. But I wonder if like, again, is this something you guys are all over? You can do this in your sleep. Like, I know where to send them, I know where not to send them, or I'm completely hands off. So like, I don't even want to know, because I'm just gonna tell families to do your research, call the school, and make a best guess, right? And probably there's a spectrum on here, but I just want to know if it'd be useful if we spent an hour again with an expert or two talking through this. Maybe go through some case studies, like, here were the test scores, here are the grades, here are the extracurriculars, here's the schools. We sent them here, we didn't send them here, and here's why. So again, any feedback there is very welcome. Now we've been wanting to have some type of relationship with both College Board and um ACT, right? To just be like, hey, look, we're all serving the same people here. How can we help get our expertise into what you're doing, and vice versa here? Probably to the surprise of no one, College Board has given us the stiff arm. They are, I think most of us would agree, they're not, I want to call them bad actors in this space. That's probably too harsh, but like, I don't know. What always sticks out for me is like, they're this nonprofit entity that has a beautiful skyscraper in Midtown Manhattan. So something doesn't align for me there. Just with and so to me, that's a microcosm maybe of how I look at their organization. So I guess you could say I am anti-SAT in that sense. But I usually advise families, and I think the company line is take the ACT at least practice test, take the SAT practice test, see where you come out, where your level of comfort is, and that's probably going to speak to, what test makes the most sense to go all in on, because that seems to be the company line too, where it's like you don't want to go all in on both. It probably makes sense to pick a horse for most people, but have some actual experience with both, and then go down that path, assuming you're going to decide to take the test at all. But I was also curious because ACT has been a little bit of the antithesis again in my experience. So I am biased here, I will fully admit. But they have just been very receptive of like, look at what you guys do is in helping families afford and pay for college and navigate the whole thing. We're just this small piece of it, which in some ways we are too, right? With our focus on affordability and financial aid and scholarships. Um, but they're like, our audience should be having all the information that you guys provide, and that's not our expertise. So let us, you know, um, promote you to our audience so they know that the resources are there. So in my opinion, they've more walked the walk from an admissions standpoint. Again, one man's opinion here. So it makes me biased, but I couldn't find necessarily but they had this like compelling collateral because I asked the question point blank. Like I'm like, I know you guys, are employed by this organization, but like tell us why you're better, right? Convince me because I don't again have an educated opinion around it. And like a lot of this stuff was pretty stinking compelling to me. So I was almost like, what is the counter? I'm sure ACT has a great, or SAT rather, has a great counter here and some, other end of the coin way to look at it. I just haven't found it yet. So I'm also just like, again, more curious from your standpoint as counselors that, probably are a lot of times administering these tests or just whatever. It's a part of your world each year. Um, do you have an opinion that's different than mine? Am I drinking the ACT Kool-Aid over here and I need to get course corrected and the college board are the good guys? That's just kind of my get for today around this, and I just kind of want to make it more open-ended if anybody has any thoughts, questions, opinions, etc. But kind of the main one here, and maybe we'll ask about this in a follow-up, in terms of having you guys rank order what subject matter experts you would want us to have on the most. Um, we can prioritize those, or we can prioritize those over the coming weeks and months leading into next school year. So if anybody has thoughts on this front, please share it. No worries if not, but think on it and let us know. And just also keep that in your back pocket. We're really fortunate where we have this amazing network of professionals in this space on all different sides of the desk, right? Every side of the desk you can think in an admissions office, in financial aid office, formerly in admissions financial aid office, in enrollment management, lenders, test prep folks, admissions special. I mean, if you're kind of in this world, we either have somebody that we can tap that's on our team or is kind of a phone call or text away type of deal. So please do challenge us there. Because if you're like, look at this is our I'd like to show up and learn about this, or just I feel like this is a blind spot for me. Um, I can have somebody on that I think will provide a ton of value and just again kind of lives in that world more than I do. Am, what did I miss, my dear?
You covered a lot. I was just gonna say I'm always manning the email, so feel free if you have feedback or you have questions or any of these things that Matt's asking, feel free to email me and we'll get that on the books. But I'm here for you and to help you and help make your job easier for the supporting these kids. So certainly want you to know that and open
Yeah,
door policy.
that's the goal, right? And again, even if you're considering it, jump and just talk to us, right? Tell us what you got cooking, learn more specifically about how we partner. And again, it's something we take pride in. There's no one size fits all. There are some, some of our partners are deep partners where they're are integrated into the technology and just super hands on, and we're super hands on and whatever, and some are just passive. I just kind of like to share some of the stuff that I think you guys share, and that's it. And then of course everybody in between, and however we can best show up for you, that's we're ready. So talk to us, we'll find out what that is and help you guys out, and hopefully in ideally ultimately, right, help out these students and families that are uh, going through the ringer here.
One thing I was going to share is I know Matt showed my cap a little bit here in the call. If you are interested in trying it out, go ahead and you can go to that school counselor link that I have posted in the chat, and you'll be able to see. You'll be able to create your MyCap account there. You'll be able to listen to College, the podcast with Peg and Matt, and also the webinar series that we are doing monthly on the second Tuesday of every month, that your families can join free and just hop in there and learn what's timely and important at that point.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you, and again, especially, I just always am pretty blown away that in the middle of the summer here, we got you folks showing up, trying to, I don't know what, sharpen the sword, maybe still, even in your downtime, and go to the
Right.
beach. Everybody, what are we doing here?
That's right.
All right, guys.
Thanks.
See you in a couple weeks. Have a good.
Bye.